Public set-asides by Luke Rohr. Set-asides definition. Set-asides are a form of affirmative action used by governments in contracting government business. They include programs that typically designate a percentage of government contracts or funds, either for services or construction of public works, from minority-owned businesses. Terms. MBE is Minority Business Enterprise Program. WBE, Woman-Owned Business Enterprise Program. SBE, Small Business Enterprise Program. VBE, Veteran Business Enterprise Program. DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. What are the state mandated percentages of work that need to be awarded to these groups on public projects, such as a high school in your location? MBE is 25%, WBE 5%, SBE 5%, VBE 5%, and DBE 4.15%. How many dollars would these percentages represent on $100 million project? MBE $25 million, WBE $5 million, SBE $5 million, VBE $5 million, DBE $4.15 million. How will this state's new legislation affect these types of firms? This will help these contractors in attaining projects, even if they are not low bid. This will allow them to get more work and get more money. They will not be restricted against the larger contractors. How will this new legislation affect the way these construction projects are bid, awarded, and constructed? The specifications will have to be written to include the mandates for affirmative action contractors. Each prime contractor, normally 4 in a public work project, will need to include affirmative action set-aside contractors in their bids. Contractors who would be low bid would have to show that they would be contracting with these set-aside affirmative action contractors. What is the current status of legislation in your state? The current status of this legislation in my state is a Davis-Bacon rate. If the Davis-Bacon Act is required or chosen on a project, Pennsylvania details a qualification that contractors need to meet. The percentage that the contractors need to abide by are as follows. MBE is 25%, WBE 5%, SBE 5%, VBE 5%, DBE 4.15%. Whether you go with the prevailing wage or Davis-Bacon rate, there is a possibility that your project will be bid at a higher cost than if your wages are mandated by prevailing wage. Pennsylvania legislation requires all projects conducted with ESSER funds are subject to the prevailing wage under the federal Davis-Bacon Act. Davis-Bacon Act is current in Pennsylvania, and see the prevailing wage act that I have provided for you guys below. What are some voters now overturning these old laws? This law definitely increases the cost on all public work projects. An owner is always forced to take the low bid on a prevailing wage project and does not get a chance to pick the contractors who he or she wants. What will be the outcome? What will be the outcome, or could be the outcome, is that the owner is forced to accept whatever contractors, whether they are affirmative actions or not, to construct the project. Take either the pro set-aside position and argue against the legislation, or the open markets position and argue against state-imposed special interest percentages. The open market position, without any restrictions, will allow the public work projects to be bid without having to take the lowest bid and having to pay the wages dictated by the state. In allowing the public work projects to choose their contractors like non-public projects, choosing contractors who they feel have a good references and proven projects. Many times when using mandated prevailing wage projects, the contractors that you get are low bid, and many times this will lead to possible poor quality and sometimes even mismanagement. To mandate special interest percentages for affirmative action contractors. It's good for the contractors. But the public work project is mandated to accept the affirmative action contractors to comply with the legislation. Many times the small contractors are not geared to handle the amount of paperwork generated by prevailing wage contractors. The fair subcontracting laws do protect against bid shopping and bid peddling. To be fair for pricing, the fair market will be best for the project.